Okay, so welcome back. Sorry for the I think slight delay for a 10 minute. So particularly in this session, we will talk about the machine learning algorithm and mainly we will focus about the implementation. Now, however, I will quickly go through some fundamentals behind the machine learning. Okay, in every day we will do like that. That probably in first 15-20 minutes I will give you some overview, and then we will actually go for a hands-on session. Okay, now for the hands-on session, uh, we have a Siddharth Pancholi, who is actually the PhD scholar who worked under my supervision only, and he is currently doing his postdoctorate at IIT Delhi. So he will show us that how you can actually write down a simple machine learning algorithm on a Python and how you can run it. So we will start with the scratch, where we will start today with the implementation of the software, and then we will see that how we can invoke the library. Okay. So before actually jumping directly for that, maybe I will take a quick journey of whatever the machine learning is. 1 minute. Let me share. Is my PPTR visible? I hope my PPTs are visible. My PPTs are visible? I'm not sure. Are my PPTR visible?
Hello, yes, sir. Your PPT is visible. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, now, so as I told you that we will mainly focus about the machine learning part, because many of you are interested in a machine learning. Uh, Actually, this whatever the module that we have designed, it looks like it is very wide one, where we are talking about the embedded system, IoT, and machine learning all together. So that's why we thought that we can extend this session to the afternoon, where we will talk about the hands-on on the machine learning. Okay. So in a machine learning, basically we will talk about the regression, classification, and mainly some about the clustering, because these are the very famous machine learning techniques that we are available. Probably I'm stuck with this slide. Sorry. Okay. So we will start with some basics of the data mining, which is important. Then we will talk about the knowledge discovery. That is the important part of your machine learning. Then we will talk about the machine learning technique for a regression, clustering, and classification. So what is actually data mining? Okay. So data mining, you can consider a bigger brother, or you can consider the elder brother of all of this. Okay. When we talk about the AI, machine learning, statistics, whatever, even big data terms is also there. So this data mining is also associated with that. So data mining is nothing but the process in which we are interested to find out the pattern from our large bunch of data that we term as a big data. Okay. So from the huge amount of data, from those data, if I want to find out the useful pattern which is of my interest.
Excuse me, sir. The slide is stuck at one. Slide one.
Sorry, can you able to see now? Slide
Yes,
3.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Introduction.
probably I will go to a slide more only. Then it would be, maybe I can increase the. Okay, so I'm starting with this slide, which is a slide 3. Okay, so what I want to convey is data mining. Data mining is somewhat you can consider the elder brother of all of this, of whatever machine learning, deep learning, or big data. So ultimately, data mining is a process where I'm interested in some sort of pattern. Pattern in the sense that some useful information from a large chunk of data. Because today what happens that because of this IoT, that we have sensors are placed everywhere. Okay, and we are collecting the huge amount of the data, and that sensor is basically collecting the data at every second. Now we have so many chunk of data, that volume is very large. Now from that, probably if we directly go and process those data with our algorithm, then probably it will take time for maybe a week or maybe more than that. So ultimately, instead of processing whole data, whatever is being collected by us through a sensor, we actually fine tune it, and we will just find out first some useful information that we think that would help us to get some decision. Now, in order to do that, we are doing some initial pre-processing before we are applying our data to intelligent technique, that is a machine learning, deep learning, whatever. Okay. So we used to do some sort of pre-processing. Now, the technique that we could apply to take out the information from a data, that can be AI, machine learning, statistic, or deep learning, whatever. Okay. So ultimately, the important thing is we want to find out the information rather than data. Okay. So information is, you can consider some meaningful data, or I want to derive some meaning out of whatever the data is being collected by me. So this data mining process is also termed as knowledge discovery to database. Okay. And database is nothing but I am considering that whatever the data that I have collected, that I am termed as a database. So I am finding out the knowledge from those data. So that is a data mining, or that is a KDD process. That is a knowledge discovery to database. So the main objective is, as I defined it, to discover the pattern rather than the data. Now, actual data mining task can be automatic or semi-automatic, depending upon whatever the technique you choose. So main purpose is to extract the information which is unknown. Okay, that's why that we term as a information. Okay, so which is unknown, which is interesting to get some decision. It is somewhat unusual, that is the anomaly which don't occur frequently, and we will also find out some sort of association and dependency from those data. Actually, with this will help us to get some decision. Okay. So what are this kind of decision, that also we will talk about one by one. Okay. But our concern is to find out something which is new to us, which is novel, and that actually lead us to help in a decision making process. So this method can, however, be useful for the creation of the new hypothesis to test against the large data population. So it helps to inferring the new information from already collected the data. So as it is defined, that from this you can consider this pillar is a data. From that I am just trying to find out through some mining process whatever the useful information, that is I am termed as a knowledge over here. Now, why data mining is important? So as I said, that big data term is very popular nowadays. Okay, because we are considering that we are not shortage of data now, because we have sensors we can deploy it everywhere, which can collect the data, and we can have a large amount of database. So data is not at all a problem in present scenario. Even processing of those data is not also that much of difficult. Okay, because of the whatever the high processing capability that we have. Now, surprisingly, if you look at the different machine learning, deep learning technology, then whatever the algorithm those we are using, those are being developed before 30-40 years back. Okay, but when those algorithms develop, but we don't have at that time the capability to process them, because those are the algorithm which may be some sort of iterative nature, and that cannot be done on simple pen and paper. You require some sort of computational unit. Okay, even though in 90s the computational unit has evolved, but still they have having some limited of capability. But today, whatever the processor that we have with the multi-core and such architecture, we can do a complex computation also within a fraction of time. So that is possible today. And because of this, the DOS algorithm now gets popularization. Okay. So DOS gets popularity because of the computational complexity we have. But if you look at that mathematical, whatever we are using for those machine learning algorithm, that has been derived maybe very ancient times. That is a 30-40 years back. Okay. Now the process, the progress of the computer hardware technology has led to the large supply of a powerful and affordable computer. That's what I told you, that we have a now capability so that we can process such kind of data. Now this can be used for a very widely, maybe in a stock exchange people are using, maybe in a e-commerce, maybe in a banking sector also they are using. So it is now everywhere probably. Whatever you touch upon at that particular field, you will find out the we are basically using such kind of clever techniques. So data mining implies a software which uses some more intelligence over simple grouping and partitioning of data to have a new inferred information. New inferred, which is novel, which is not actually known to us, even though the data is having, but we are not having that information from those data. Now, data mining is a non-trivial process. Now, what I mean by non-trivial, you cannot find out the information from those data by simple processing. You require some sort of complex algorithm. You need a support of this kind of complex algorithm in order to derive the information from that. Okay. So those data can be novel, valid. Those have some implicit information. That means some sort of hidden informations are there. Whatever the data that we select, in those data, we have some hidden information that we need to actually mine it. So which is previously unknown, and now ultimately by doing the processing, we should able to get some meaningful information or that is understandable. So which is potentially useful for some application and a decision making process. Now this is a simple flow of a knowledge discovery to database where I'm starting with the data, then I'm deriving some target data through some selection, then we are doing some sort of pre-processing, then we are applying some sort of basic transformation, then we are actually applying the data mining techniques, and then we are deriving knowledge out of it. Okay, so just I will briefly give overview of each and every one because those these are very important. Now developing, so first step is a selection. So depending upon the application, we need to find out that what are the important data or what set of data is required for my further process. Okay, maybe it is not all the data are important. Likewise, let's consider that I have a one sensor. Okay, that one sensor is being placed, which is actually taking care of a temperature as well as a humidity or maybe any another parameter. But now what happens that let's consider one example that I have deployed a sensor that is taking care of temperature, humidity and all these things. Now that sensor is collecting the data every time. Okay, and it is storing the data to the cloud. Now that sensor reading is being reported. Let's say that at every 1 hour. So probably at 9 o'clock in the morning, that one particular temperature value is being reported. 10 o'clock it is being reported. 11 o'clock it is being reported. 12 o'clock somehow it is not being reported because there is some sort of power failure issue, and because of that the sensor was off and the data was not collected, and because of that the whatever the temperature value at 12 noon, that is not being reported. Again, let's consider that now that issue has been resolved, then we have a value of a temperature at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So I am taking a time interval of 1. There can be a 5 minute, there can be a 15 minutes, whatever. Okay. So actually the more of a data you have, the more accurate the information you can get it. Okay. So now, as I said that 12 o'clock I missed the data because of some issue. Now, but still I have a data which is available at 9, 10, 11 as well as 1, 2, 3, 4. Now from those data, can I develop an algorithm who actually predict the value that what could be the temperature value at 12 o'clock? Okay. See, 12 o'clock there is no value. But what I need to do, I need to do apply some sort of intelligent techniques so that it can help me to predict the temperature value. Now, whatever the module that we have put or place, that is taking care of temperature as well as humidity or any other value. But for us, whenever we are talking about the prediction of a temperature, then out of those whole huge amount of data, I'm interested in a temperature only. Okay, because those temperature value can help me to actually get the prediction of a temperature. That humidity will not help me. Okay, so ultimately, according to my application, I need to define what is my target data set. Okay, so that target data set I can consider. So instead of processing whole database as it is, ultimately I need to define that I am targeting which application. And according to that application only, I will provide the input as a that kind of data only, because that will only help me. Otherwise, what happens that you provide all the data, then probably accuracy will also suffer, and as well as the processing will be also huge. So it will take more time, and with that also you will not get the accuracy. So apart from that, there may be a case that I need to go for a data cleaning. So that means I can think about fill in the missing value. Okay. So let's say that now I have collected the value for a temperature today. Now I want to predict that for a tomorrow. But now in order to predict the tomorrow values, probably I need the database for all the hours for today. But 12 o'clock it was missing. Okay. So one way is from a given value, I can predict this value and I can put it inside my prediction algorithm. So that is a one way that for a 12 o'clock, if the value is missing, you need to fill it. Okay. So actually when you plug your database inside your any intelligent algorithm, there could not be a null value. There has to be some quantified value has to be there. So maybe you can think about how you can actually fill that 12 o'clock value. So maybe there are some technique or you can apply some statistic that whatever the value is available with you, you can take an average of that and put that value at a 12 o'clock. Or maybe you can take some sort of mean like that. Okay. So ultimately you need to fill this missing value. Whenever I'm talking about putting all this today's temperature value for a prediction of tomorrow. So whatever the value is missing, that you need to fill it. Now, whatever the criteria that you decide in order to put that particular value, that is up to you. Okay. So there are some literature is also that how you can actually fill that value. So as I said that you can take a mean and you can put that value at a 12 o'clock. That can be also one. So there can be another statistics also that you can apply. Okay. Then identify the outlier and smooth out the noise data. So outlier, that means which you consider that this should not be happen. Okay. So it may happen that the sensor you have placed, but because of some error, whatever the data that is being captured by those sensor is not a valid. Like a temperature I am recording. So temperature is showing 35, 40 like that. But suddenly one value which is being shown is a 75. So definitely 75 degrees Celsius temperature will not be happen anytime. At least for I can consider for the India. Okay. So there won't be any temperature value of the 75 degree. Usually the temperature cluster you will find out 30 to 45 around. Okay. So that value, whatever the 75 degree that is being noted out, that is not the correct value. So whatever the value that is being considered. So if you consider a 75 in your database, then definitely the model, because model will not omit it. Okay. So it is as a user, you need to omit it. If something is an outlier, which you consider that this should not be actually a correct value, then whatever the incorrected part of the database that you need to remove it. Okay. That we are designing as an outlier. which is, we know that this is not the correct value. Okay. So also we have to define some sort of inconsistency that we have. So there are some data reduction technique. Okay. Before actually giving it to the intelligent techniques, we would like to reduce the dimensionality. Maybe we would like to compress it, like whatever we are using a GIF or tar file for our database, that we want to reduce the size. Okay. Then maybe we can go for some sort of clever technique for a numerosity reduction. We can give some time, means sometimes the data is in terms of the, not in a quantified value, but maybe it is there in terms of the level. Like in an exam, the grade is given A, B, B, C. Okay. So A, B, B, C will not help you to actually get your CGP or SGPA mark. Okay. So at that time, actually you need to put A is equal to 10, AB is equal to 9, so that actually you can get some CGPA or SGPA value. Okay. So ultimately you need to define also numerical value for every time. Now, this is very important. Okay. Because we will focus on this particular data mining part. Okay. So what is the input to the data mining? Whatever the data is there, we will select the data. From those selection, we will do some sort of pre-processing. If some data is a missing value, we will fill up those value, and we will to ensure that whatever the data is there, that is also having some sort of reduced format. Okay. That data reduction, that means let's say that whatever the data that I have, that have a dimension of 10. Okay. So that dimensionality reduction algorithm we can apply, so that 10 can be of 3 or 4 dimension, so that our data can be processed cleverly. Okay. But at the same time, whatever the pre-processing technique that you apply, you need to ensure that it should not hamper your data that much that from that you cannot derive the information, because information is important. So whatever the technique that we need to apply for the pre-processing, that should be also clever one, so that actually it will not hamper the data. Okay. So then probably we will apply some clever machine learning technique like a classification, then mining, clustering, outlier detection. So basically over here, I would like to extract some sort of features. Okay. Let's say that I'm talking about the classification. Classification in the sense that suppose some particular person photo is given to you. You need to identify that whether it is a male or female. Okay. So in order to identify whether that particular person which is there inside the picture, whether it is a male or female, you will derive some feature. Okay. Like maybe you can look at the clothes of that person. Okay. So maybe the ladies who are wearing clothes, those are the different than the gents one. But sometimes there is a confusion that if a jeans pant is being put on with a t-shirt, then that is a common factor that now the female also used to wear it. Okay. So sometimes it would be difficult that with the one feature you can make a decision, because from a jeans pant and t-shirt, if you look at that is a male, then that may not be true, because female can also wear a t-shirt and jeans. Okay. So now at this particular moment, the one feature is not enough to actually bifurcate whether that is a male or female. Then maybe I can look at the hair. So hairstyle I will look at. So if it is having a long hair, then probably I can consider it is a female, but it is not necessary. Okay. So likewise, you need to actually derive the feature. Now this feature, number of feature is basically depending upon how accurately you are able to judge a particular class. Okay. So sometimes maybe 3-4 feature is enough to find out, or sometimes maybe you need to go for a more than that also. So depending upon what is your database and what are the number of class that you have, according to that you need to decide that how many features you need to. That feature extraction is a very important part for any data mining process. Okay. So that also we will discuss. Okay. Don't worry that all these things, that regression, clustering, your classification, all these things we will discuss one by one. Okay. So interpretation of the mind fashion. So this is nothing but we need to derive some useful information, whatever the we have data which is being processed. So ultimately, if I look at the data mining task, so data mining is of some sort of is a predictive, some sort of is a descriptive. Okay. So classification regression is comes into the predictive method. Descriptive method is the association. That means some sort of association. What I mean by association, that means कि suppose in a supermarket, I would like to go for a some sort of a vegetable like potato. Okay. So definitely in a supermarket where there is a vegetable section, at that place only I will find out the potato. The potato cannot be placed at the grocery. Okay. So there is an association that when there is a vegetable, then inside the vegetable only I will find out a potato. Or maybe fruits is also you can find out just nearby to the your means vegetable section. But it cannot be happen that that vegetable is at a one particular place and your fruits are at some other place where actually your clothes section is there. Okay. So ultimately you need to also take some sort of intelligence through a association. Okay. That this thing is associated with this. So this has to be done like or this has to be judged by a particular manner only. Okay. Now in a machine learning technique, there are two main classifications that we need to understand. One is a supervised learning, another is a unsupervised learning. Okay. So supervised learning is something that where initially I will train my model with some sort of data. And through the trained model, I will take some decision. It is something like that. If you have a small child at your home, then what you will do if you want to learn him that how he can identify different things like a water bottle. Okay. So if you want that child to actually identify the water bottle, then what you will do? You will actually initially train him by saying that this is the water bottle, this is the water bottle. So probably 5 times, 10 times you will speak in front of him. Then probably after 11 or 12 times, he will able to recognize this is the water bottle. And not only that water bottle, what you have shown. It can be any another kind of water bottle also. Maybe small, bigger, larger, anything. Okay. So this is a training. So in a supervised learning, usually we will train the model and then after which we will accept that it should taste it. That exactly the same thing which I mentioned through a child. That through a child, for a child, we will train him for a number of times. And after that, probably we expect that he should able to recognize. So ultimately he will make up his mind with some sort of features that the bottle, how is the shape of the bottle? There will be some at the top of the bottle to close that part. Okay. So those he will realize and then he will able to find out any bottle depending upon his cognition. So that is a supervised learning. In unsupervised learning, you expect that whatever the data is that is not actually being trained, but whatever the knowledge that is being that algorithm is smart enough that he should be able to do it. Okay. So this we will talk in detail when we talk about the each of these particular machine learning technique individually. Okay. So for today, I am stopping it over here. Okay. Because probably we will take all these machine learning technique one by one in each of our class. Okay. So today expectation is that we will first see that how we can install the basic software where the Python can be run and what are the basic library that we can invoke. Okay. So probably I am waiting that if Siddharth is joined to us or not. Siddharth?
Sir, I have.
Okay.
I
If you have a doubt, then you can ask. Okay.
Sir, actually, the sir has to enable me for the slide sharing.
Okay. Siddharth is there.
Yeah, Siddharth.
Okay. Siddharth, but I am not able to see you over here. Where is you? I will make you presenter.
Yeah,
Presenter.
yeah.
What is your okay here. ठीक है. हाँ. So Siddharth, I have changed your role. Now you
Okay.
can make a presentation. There is no issue. Okay. So let's welcome Siddharth Pancholi. So Siddharth is currently a research associate at IIT Delhi. So Siddharth has completed his MTech from Thapar University, and subsequently he has enrolled the PhD at MNIT Jaipur. So he has completed his PhD. He has actually submitted his thesis. Okay. So he has submitted his thesis currently, and he has worked on a EMG based prosthetic control, that those who are not having a hand. Okay. So for that you can have some sort of artificial limb, and through a EMG signal you can control it. So he has worked on that. So Siddharth has very good knowledge regarding the Python and a MATLAB skill. Even he has worked in a one industry where he has worked on a IoT. So now I welcome Siddharth to just proceed. Yes,
Okay.
Siddharth.
So, sir, hope you are I'm audible to all of you. So, we will start from Python installing, how we can install Python. So, first we need to install Python. We will install Python IDE. IDE means Independent Development Environment. So, I want to know, is everybody has Python in the system?
Siddharth, means we will start with the scratch only. Okay.
Okay.
So we expect that we will install today, and then if there are any issue, maybe you can show us the maybe website, because we can see your screen.
Okay.
I think you need to share your screen first, Siddharth.
Okay, sir.
I think that third symbol where it is a cross. From that you can share your screen. Yes. So we will start with the scratch, that you will show us that which particular software or whatever the version is that, Siddharth. From that we will start. Okay. So everybody will be on the same platform.
Are you able to see my screen right now?
No, Siddharth, you have not put in a screen share mode. Actually, if you observe that in your screen or at your screen, video, then speaker, and third one is a sharing button. Click on that.
I'm doing the same thing. Yeah.
So click on that
Then
and share your desktop. Share your
okay,
desktop.
Sir. Share, yes.
Okay, share your desktop.
Yes, sir.
So currently you have shared something, but we are not able to. Okay.
Okay.
Is this your desktop? No, this is your PPT. Okay.
Yeah.
We are able to see now your PPT. Okay. Go ahead, Siddharth.
Okay. So we will learn how to install Python IDE. So if you want to learn if you want to install with me, that you have to go through this link. I am sharing this link in the message. You can check there. So if
We are able to see your slide, no issue. I think now it is gone, Siddharth.
oh, yeah. So I have shared the link of the where you can install your Python IDE in the message. So hope you are installing, those who don't have the Python IDE. So sir, should we wait for them, they are installing?
Maybe they can install. I think all of you please follow the steps whatever we are mentioning. Okay, so that would be useful to you, because we want that we will go for some hands-on session. That means whatever we will show it over here, you need to do it at your end. Okay, so I think whatever the link is there, from that link you can start installing.
So
Maybe
I have shared this link in the message. You can click from there.
okay, Siddharth, what you can do, that you have shared your PPT. You can share your screen also, so that whatever you do on your screen, that is visible.
Okay.
Okay. So in the share button, probably you will find out first or second option where you can share your screen. Okay. Yes. Now it is, we are able to see you.
So
Okay.
just click, put this link into the in the search box, and you will be able to see like a screen like this. Then you need to install Anaconda. You need to click install Anaconda, and from here you can see that you can choose your Anaconda according to your system configuration. Like if you have 64-bit configuration, then you should go for 64-bit. If you have 32-bit configuration, you should go for like 32-bit configuration. And those who are using Mac, then you have to choose according to the link is provided here. So I will click here because my system is 64-bit. So I will click on first link. No, actually. So I will click here. Then you will see here that your system is installing Anaconda. I have already installed. I will not install because I have already installed in my system. So you have to install from this. So everybody is installing right now.
Can you use Jupyter Notebook? Somebody is asking that.
You can use Jupyter Notebook. Like you can use. I'll go with Spider because it is a little bit similar to the MATLAB, and you can see the real time your operations in the right side of your screen. So I'll prefer the Spider. You can use Jupyter.
Okay. So
Similar.
I request participants, all participants, to be on a same platform. Probably try to install whatever Siddharth is telling. Okay. If you have any other doubt regarding the other software, that we can take it in a question answer. But as we are at a offline, okay, so probably it would be very difficult that if you all use your individual software. Okay. Definitely you can do it at your home whenever you have a free time. But probably presently it is a good idea that probably we should be all at a one platform which we need to follow. Okay. So I request that whatever Siddharth is suggesting, kindly install that only. Okay.
Like I'll prefer the Spider because you can see the real time your operation without any print command directly on your screen, so that it will be easy for new learner that they will analyze the what is going on in the Python programming directly. And if you go the Jupyter, you have to print every time to see what is happening. For this, you have to go Spider. Like both are similar. Jupyter is similar to the Spider, and both are similar. But like for the initial understanding, you have to go with Spider.
Siddharth, one participant is asking that he has already Anaconda and Spider installed. So do
Okay.
he need to create a new environment?
No need to create. No need to. He can work directly.
Okay.
If you are using already the Spider, then you can directly use. But those who are not installed, you can install that now.
think
Like we'll wait for another 5 minutes. Then we can start programming part, like how to install library and all.
okay. So Siddharth, can we move ahead?
Yeah, you can. So if you are all installed the Python, like you can search your search in your search box, that spider. You can see the icon like this. Okay, then I'll click on this. I'll get the ID like this, spider.
Yes, participants, I hope you are with us. If you want still more time for the installation, then let us know. Otherwise, we can move ahead. Siddharth, if you can look
Sir,
at a chat box.
will be required.
Siddharth, that Tanmay has some screenshot and he wants some help.
Yeah, yeah. You can first you can first checkbox you can click, like add Anaconda 3 to my path environment variable.
Sir, I think more time will be required. It is about 500 MB we need to download.
Yes, yes.
Everybody will not have fast internet, so it will take at least 20 minutes, I guess.
Okay. So
Okay,
meanwhile, what we can do that, Siddharth, you can start explanation.
okay.
Okay, regarding what they have to do initially. Then probably we will come back again, and then probably we will start exploring the tool. Okay. I think you have some PPT also that if you
Yeah.
want to.
So suppose you want to install some library and you want to uninstall some library, then you can click Anaconda prompt on the prompt and go there. You can see the command window like this, and you can write here pip install numpy. Numpy is a library. So you can. So it is saying that your requirement already satisfied, means I have already installed NumPy. If you don't have NumPy, then you will see here the downloading step. If you want to uninstall the NumPy, then you can write like this pip uninstall NumPy. So it is asking you want to remove this or not. Okay. So now I don't have NumPy, but so now I will install again. Pip install NumPy. So it is now downloading. Now it is now installing. You can see. So it is a basic step for installing library. How you can install the library? Search in the search box. You can write Anaconda prompt, and you can go Anaconda prompt. You can write there the pip install then library name. This is the installing process. If you want to uninstall the library, you can write uninstall instead of install. Okay, so now it is downloading. So it has already downloaded. So now I'll go to my spider ID. So I will write here in the command window console import. If I want to import the library, I will write here import numpy, which I have currently installed. So import numpy. So it is saying some sort of so now it is showing no error. So means the numpy is installed right now. So you can assign a keyword to the numpy. Like if you don't want to use numpy in the like the full name numpy, you can use numpy as np. So I am making a like nickname of numpy is np. So I can operate numpy with the name of np. So if you want to check the version of your library, you can write this command like this. So it is saying that your version of NumPy is 1.19. So what is NumPy? NumPy is basic library, like people are mostly using in machine learning operation. So for the automatic mathematical operation, we can use NumPy, and it shows like it provides us very much feasibility to use to make mathematical calculation in very easy way. So no need to like no need to do programming from scratch for the mathematical operation. You can just write. You can use your NumPy library, and you can directly call mathematical function. So this is a IDE, like this is the editor part. Okay, so I will run one by one line. So first I will run first line. So it is saying no error here. So I'll go with this. So I'll go with this. Okay, then no error. Then if you want to create the 2 by 2 matrix of all zeros, need to write a simple code np dot zeros 2 by 2. It will create a. So here you can see it will create a 2 by 2 zero matrix. If you want to hope you're following me right now. So if you want to create like a matrix which has ones of one row and two columns, so you will get a matrix of ones which has single row and two columns. Yeah. So, and if you want to create a 2 by 2 matrix of a constant value, I am assigning here 7. So you can write like this. So you will get a array of 2 by 2 dimension which has constant value 7. So, and if you want to create an identity matrix with the help of NumPy, just run this. You will get a identity matrix of 2 by 2. If you want, generate a random number of 2 by 2 matrix, then you can write this command. So initially you have to do a little practice for using libraries, but after you will get like little bit familiar with these libraries, you will find like you are performing operation in very easy way. No need to do like here if I want to create a like a 2 by 2 matrix in the C language, then I have to do like I have to go through with the for loop. So instead of this, I can use like direct command with the help of NumPy. So in a very easy way, I am getting these outputs.
Siddharth, I think some of the students is asking Nandini, let's send some screenshot. I am not sure, but what is setting up the package catch? Siddharth, if you can look at that particular one.
Yes. This is what I got. Yeah, you are in the right way. Yeah, you are right.
So setting up the okay, so this is a part of the process of the installation only.
Yes. So she has already installed. She got a screen like this.
Okay.
So now, Nandini, you can see here that first one is your editor. You can write your code, and the real-time processing output you can see in the console part, and you can write your code in the editor, and the output of the editor you can in the real time you can see here in the variable part. Here you can see variable explorer. You have to click here variable explorer for see real time operation. You have to click on this variable explorer. So Baldev Raj is asking how to install library. Okay. So what you need to do, you have to like in the search box here, you can click Anaconda prompt, and you can see there's the command window there. You can write. I have already like you can write there pip install pip, then install, then particular library name you want to install. Ensure you have good net like internet connection for this.
Okay.
Anybody has any question, they can ask.
I think there is one question I think Nandini is asking. Just check it out on the chat box. That
Okay.
chat box maybe. Siddharth.
On command, it say pip not install. Okay. Let me tell you. Wait. Wait, let me. I'm providing a link so that you can install pip there.
Okay. Maybe you can write down directly in the chat box, Siddharth, so that
Yeah.
Okay. Meanwhile, Siddharth, I think there was a one question regarding the Moodit that he was stuck at one point where setting up the package catch was written.
Uh, Setting the package cache.
Yes, Mudit, are you there?
My installation has come on setting the package cache.
Mudit?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Mudit.
Yes, sir. Mine has now. It is now processing, setting up the base environment and showing
Okay.
some transactions like
Okay.
ZSTD or Zlib.
It is now
Let-
right now it is installing, so you have to wait for a while.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So right now, Nandini, you can now you have all installed it. Okay. It's not very heavy IDE like Eclipse. It has only like 450 MB, so it can run easily 4 GB of RAM. Okay. Try to install.
I think Siddharth Nandini has stuck again for some point. Maybe you can check it at the chat box.
Okay, I'm checking.
And Mudit has also some issue.
So for this, you have to like set your path, system path. So
यही है ये hands on
what you need to do to that first you need to download get pip.py, then go to the folder where you have downloaded the pip, then right click there, then go to the command window from there, then write, then like you have to navigate that part, then then run the following command. Okay, where you have installed I can show you that. Here my system is on C user and carpet story. Okay, so you have to go that particular path from here. Then from there you can install, you can run Python. Get that. Um, One student is asking, sir, how to get output for the program. So suppose write down first import numpy as np. Okay. Then write a equals to np dot zeros. Then the double small bracket 2 by 2. If you want to see output, then you have to click here. Like you are the variable explorer title is showing here. You have to click here, variable explorer. You can see output directly there, or you can print this in the console. Like if you want to see the output in the console, you can write print a, or you can here you can see the variable explorer button. You have to click variable explorer. You can see a directly there. So hope everybody has installed. So I have discussed basic operation, like basic commands of NumPy. So I'm repeating again. So if you want to create a zero matrix of 2 by 2, like two rows, first two rows and two columns, then a equal to np dot zeros, then 2 by 2. You will get a 2 by 2 matrix of zeros. You can check here 3 by 2. Then you can see 3 by 2 matrix of zeros. So you can see here 3 by 2, like 3 rows and 2 columns. And similarly, if you want to make a matrix of ones of 1 row and 2 columns, then you have to run this np dot ones. Then in the double square, double small brackets 1 comma 2. You can see here matrix of ones, 1 row and 2 column. Okay. And if you want to create, suppose you want to create a matrix of constant value, any constant value. I have assigned a 7, you can assign anyone, any value, like 4, I am assigning again. So I will run this to see, I will see like 2 by 2 by 2 matrix of 4, or np dot version. So here you want, you have to, like, you are putting only single underscore, you have to do double underscore, like here double underscore, here double underscore, np dot double underscore, then version, then double underscore. Then let me know. Okay, now you have to switch on the programming part. Okay, so if you want to generate a random numbers, then you can write like this: e equals to, like, I want to store my random number matrix into e, so I will write np dot random 2 by 2. I am creating a 2 by 2 random number matrix, so I'll get a e matrix like this. It is generating random number matrix. So these are the basic operations. So I am discussing few. You can visit net. There are many operations, the many functions of NumPy. I'm discussing few operations which is like relevant to our, like, which will be used for our machine learning part. So with the help of NumPy, you want to create a matrix. So how you will create? So you will create a matrix. So A, you can see again that you have 3 rows and 4 columns. So, rows. Wow. First row, which is first 4 numbers in the square bracket, then comma, then second row, then comma, then third row. So you can write like this for creating a 2D matrix. So now you have a matrix. You want to slice this matrix. You don't want to use all matrix for your like operation. You want to use only few part of this matrix, so you slice this matrix. Yeah, 2 3. So 2 3, like, here up to 2, only two rows, and 1 2 3 3 1. Then you can see that it will not cover up to 3, it will cover only 2. So 1 less than, like what you are writing here, it will assign less than that. Okay, because your indexing is starting from 0. So you can see like this. So here is your original A matrix. You are storing only starting 2 elements of yours, up to 2 elements your matrix of A, like 1, like 2 3, uh, 2 elements, 2 3, and column 1 and 2. So 1 and 2. Okay, column, first column and second column, you will get 2 and 3. Okay, and 6 and 7. So if you want to choose particular element of your matrix, then you can choose, like, you want to choose 0th row first element. Okay, 0th row first element. So first element. So you will get here 0 0 comma 0th row and first column. So you will see 2, 0th row and first column. The output will be 2. Similarly, you can like you can assign here index value in the from the spider. You can see what are the index values. So 0 0 it will give you the 1. So if you choose 0 1, so 0 zeroth row and first column, so it will give you the 2. Similarly, if you want to choose 11 like 11 number, then you have to go like second row and second column, you will get 11.
Okay, Siddharth,
Yes.
I think there is one question from Karan. I think you can.
I'm not getting array window after running. Output is displayed in the console. What current like uh, here you can see the variable explorer button. Variable explorer. Here you can see. You have to click there. Variable explorer. Above above console you can see the variable explorer. You have to click there. Then you can see the output.
Siddharth, I think we are not able to see your window. You need to set. Now
So
we can. Now we can able to. Now you
so
can repeat again whatever you have said.
okay. So here where my cursor is positioning right now, you can see the variable explorer. You have to click there. Here. Variable explorer. Okay. I think Karan got it. So okay, now you can see the output. Okay.
Again, Siddharth, I think you went back to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we are able.
So
I,
suppose
I think again we lost. Yes.
suppose
Now we can.
you want to choose first row and all columns. First row and all columns. Then how you can choose? Then A, then square square bracket. Then if you want to choose first row, then you have to write 1 comma colon. Colon means all the values of columns. Indexing is like this: rows and column. So first row comma then full column means all values, all columns values. So like here A is this. So first row is this. First row and all columns value I'll get. In the row, one value. I'm getting first row and all columns value. Okay. Now, so what is different between like first one colon two and this? You will get output in the row wise. And if you want to see your output column wise, you have to write command like this: then square bracket one colon two comma colons square bracket. So in the variable explorer itself, you can see the size of your matrix. But those who are not using the Spider IDE, they have to print again and again for this. So, like, what is the size? What is the shape of row underscore R1? So I can see 4 elements are there, but it is 1D, only 1D. And if I run this, so I'll get the 2D matrix of same elements, which has single row and 4 elements. You will see the output in the column wise. First column, second column, third column, fourth column. Similarly, if you want previous operation of the accessing rows, you want to access the columns, particular columns you want to access in the NumPy array, then you have to do like this. Suppose you want to access first column and all elements of first column, all row elements of first column, then you will see like this 2, 4, 10, all elements of first column. The first column 2, 6, 10, and you will get 2, 6, 10 here. So you can open 2 window directly, like what the reference metric, which in which you are performing operations, and another one which you have currently processed. So you can see here. So first column and all elements of its all row elements of first column. So first column and all elements of. If I change this, I can. So here you can see I have changed here, instead of 1 I wrote here 2, so I got 2, like 3, 7, 11. 3, 7, 11. In the second column I will get 3, 7, 11. Similarly, if you want to make it 2D matrix, you have to do like this. So now you can see the size of this here, like it has only 3 elements, but dimension is 1. Here you can see the 2D matrix of same element. Dot shape command is there in NumPy arrays. You can check shape of your matrix. Okay. So let change your matrix. So right now I have a like this. The 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you want to see elements of this what it will give? It will give you 0, 0. It will give you 1. It will give you 1, 1 means 4. A2, 0, it will give you 2A, 2, 0. There, 1, 4, 5. So, yeah. Hope you are doing with me. You have to write each line for better understanding. So similarly, you can do these operations. These are the slicing operations. Okay. So suppose you have like a array of A like this, A which is like this. So you want to set a Boolean index. So you want to print only values of A which is greater than 2. So how you can do this? You can set a Boolean index A greater than 2. Now you can print here. So it is showing that your first value is not like it is showing. You can check. First value is not greater than 2. So it will show you the false. It is not greater than 2. Then those values are greater than 2. Then you can see true. Okay. So this is called Boolean indexing. We want to print Boolean index values. So you can see here Boolean index values are 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see. So if you want to check data type of your like array elements or matrix type, then you can suppose you have matrix of A which is 2 elements 1 and 2. You want to check what is the data type of these elements. You can write x dot d type, which is data type. So it is showing that int 32. So it is integer of 32 bit. So if I am assigning A 1.0 and 2.0, so now it is showing float 64. So you can fix here like data type. So how you can fix? Suppose you previously you have the data type 1 and 2 is int 32. You want to set this int 64. How you can do this? np.array, then inside a small bracket you have to assign array element which you want to put in the array, and comma d type equals to np.int64. So now fill the one value and 2 value is 64 bit of integer. Okay. Anyone has any question? Can ask. Similarly, I can assign these values into float also. Suppose. So now these values are in the float. np.float 64. So your first, second, 3, 4 values are in the float 64. So now we will see the basic mathematical operation how you can add these values. So there are two methods of adding arrays, like with the help of NumPy library, or you can use the basic function of Python itself. Both will give you result. So now you have print x plus y. You can write directly c equals to x plus y. You will get a matrix of after x plus y. Similarly, you can use NumPy library for this also. So np dot add, in the small bracket you can write x comma y. Similarly, for the subtract operation, you can write x minus y directly, or you can also write np dot subtract x comma y, like you mentioned here add. You can now you can like for the subtraction you can use subtract keyword. For the multiplication and division, this method is same. If you want to perform square root of your metric or any single value, you can write dot np dot sqrt, then your value. if you want to perform dot products of a matrix, you can write like V, then dot, then dot, then you have to write again in the word dot, then W. Or you can write np dot v comma w. You will get a dot product of matrices. If you want to perform the vector operation, you can write like this: x dot c, then np dot x comma v. Anyone has any question, you can ask.
Okay, any question? Maybe you can ask. Otherwise, probably
We will learn one more library right now, that is matplotlib, which is we will see an example of plotting, how we can use matplotlib and NumPy together.
Siddharth, if possible, maybe we can wind up in 5 minutes. If because
Okay.
probably we have scheduled till 3 o'clock. Still, I think it seems that participants are interested, but I think we have 4 more days, so maybe we can do it that time also. There is no issue. Okay.
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 So
Maybe 5 minutes. Just wind up. Okay.
okay. So anyone has any question? We have only 5 minutes for today. So
Yes. Any question? If you have, then probably we would.
In the installation, for the library installation, Python installation, how we can visualize the output, how we can use library, how we can check version of library.
Okay. Good.
Okay. What is this kite? First install it. What is this kite? I am not getting you.
What is this kite?
Which is library we have to install? Actually, all library are inside the Python IDE in this Anaconda environment. So if any library is needed to be installed, then I'll let you know. But all the required library are available.
Okay, I think now Aniruddha is asking. Okay, now he is saying something. Kite is linting and code prediction that can be installed with Spider. Okay, so there may be another tool Kite that probably I also heard today.
Yeah. Okay, I have to explore this site. Okay, so not clear. Somebody saying that not clear. So all the library are all the
No. Actually, that I have written Siddharth, that Srinivas has asked something that okay. So for that I asked. Okay.
Okay,
Again.
so all the libraries are available in the Anaconda itself. So right now there is no requirement of adding new libraries. If you want to add new library, then you can go like this pip in the Anaconda prompt, and in the Anaconda prompt you can write pip install then library name, where you get the library after installing, and this Python get where to get the library after installing. Like library, it is already installed in your system. No need, like you have to import your library, like the import then library name in the Python IDE. You can check if you want to access particular library, you can check. Okay, I share code. I share code to sir, then you can share for the practice. So if you want to go particular library, you can go to the in the C, then you can check there the library in the Spider Python. You can see the library, all in library are installed there in the library folder. Or if you want to import particular library, you can write import then the library name, and then you can run, your library will be imported. So right now all the necessary libraries are available in the Anaconda IDE itself, Anaconda environment itself. So you need to add new libraries. So if in the future, if any library is required, then I'll let you know. I think the like installation part and the how to import library and how to check version is right now clear. So from tomorrow we will learn the basic function of like basic mathematical function of NumPy, and basic how we can use matplotlib and other libraries for plotting purposes.
Maybe
What
tomorrow we will take the regression part. Okay.
Yeah, with the regression we can see the data visualization also, so that you can understand in better way.
Okay. Okay. So that's all